AI coding is evolving fast, but which model writes better C++? Today, in February 2025, we're testing two AI powerhouses, ChatGPT o3 Mini High and DeepSeek's DeepThink R1. We gave both the exact same challenge: write a simple 2D platform-style game using SFML, where the player controls a basic square that can move left, right, and jump similar to Mario. There will be enemies that can be defeated by jumping on their heads. The level will be procedurally generated and infinite, with the game recording the maximum distance the player travels forward. Now, let's see how they tackled it. Who wrote the better code? Who had the smoother gameplay? And should we try this again with Raylib or SDL? Let's find out. Now let's see how ChatGPT handled our challenge. We provided the prompt, and here's its response. If you want to check the full code, it's available on my GitHub. Link in the description. ChatGPT structured the game with a simple but effective approach. A player-controlled square that moves, jumps, and interacts with platforms and enemies. It implemented procedural level generation, basic physics, and collision detection, along with a scoring system that tracks the max distance traveled. A solid structure, but how does DeepSeek compare? Next, we have DeepSeek's response to the same prompt. Like ChatGPT, it structures a 2D platformer using SFML, implementing movement, jumping, collision detection, and procedural level generation. The setup is slightly different, particularly in how it handles player physics and enemy behavior. You can find DeepSeek's full response on my GitHub, link in the description. Now let's move forward and set up both projects for testing. Since I already have a detailed tutorial on setting up C++ in VS Code, I'll speed through this part. To prepare the project, I created a new folder and set up the basics in VS Code. Then I configured CMake using vcpkg to manage dependencies. I added SFML as a dependency in vcpkg.json, ran vcpkg install, and updated cmakelist.txt to link SFML properly. Finally, I reloaded VS Code, reconfigured CMake, cleaned the output folder, and built the project to ensure a fresh start. Now that everything is set up, let's test the AI-generated code. First, I copied DeepSeek's code into VS Code, but before running it, I noticed it required the Arial font. So I navigated to my system fonts, copied Arial, and pasted it into the output folder where the executable would be built. After compiling and running DeepSeek's game, the character movement and jumping worked as expected. However, several issues quickly became apparent. First, the level didn't generate infinitely. Once I reached the edge of the screen, there were no new platforms, making it impossible to continue. Second, enemies didn't behave correctly. Instead of staying on platforms and moving, they floated in mid-air. Lastly, falling off a platform reset the game immediately, but since the level wasn't generating properly, the distance tracker didn't work as intended, making scoring ineffective. Next, I copied ChatGPT's code, pasted it into VS Code, built, and ran it. The difference was clear. This version felt much smoother. The level generated infinitely as expected, jumping on enemies worked properly, and the gameplay felt more structured and polished. Overall, ChatGPT's implementation was more functional and playable right out of the box. While both models showed a solid grasp of SFML and C++ game development, ChatGPT o3 Mini High clearly delivered the better result. After testing both, my personal winner is ChatGPT due to the smoother gameplay and more structured implementation. But what do you think? Let me know in the comments which AI did better. Would you like to see this test with Raylib or SDL? Drop your suggestions below, and if you enjoyed this experiment, consider subscribing for more AI coding challenges.